Welcome to the Windy City Bender Podcast with your hosts, Nolly, Poetzy, and Jarom.
Welcome, everybody, into the Windy City Benders Podcast. And this is episode 50, the Corey Crawford, as it rightly should be. This is going to be a morose episode. This is going to be a sad one. As per usual, it's myself, host, as your host with the most, and then Nolly, how are you?
What the hell is going on with this intro, Andrew?
I'm very upset.
Well, you're making it way longer than it should be. But hey, how are you?
Okay, I'm not good, Brian. I'm not good. Jarom, how you doing?
I'm doing better than you, obviously.
Okay, that makes that's great. So yeah, it's a sad day. I think we can all agree on that. It's a pretty sad day in Blackhawk history. If you haven't heard already, or if you live under a rock, or you're in a coma, something like that, the Blackhawks. I'm just going to jump into it here, boys. Blackhawks have fired Joel Quenneville. Let him go. That's it.
Bye.
He's gone. Now, this is something that we had talked about in our preseason predictions, talking about whether or not Q was going to be one of the coaches that was going to end up being fired. I think Jarom, you actually said that he was going to be the first one fired, and you missed it by like
2 days.
Hours.
I was so damn close. The first thing would have got right in a long time.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have remembered because
I know
you completely forgot.
Nolly had to bring it up today in the group chat about it.
Yeah. So I can't remember. I think I may have said it. I don't know. I think I might have said by Thanksgiving he's going to be gone. We can double check on that, but
check the game
I
notes.
think I said Thanksgiving he was going to be gone. But
American or Canadian Thanksgiving?
There's only one.
Yeah, Canadian Thanksgiving. Yeah, you're right.
Because then you were off because that already happened.
Yeah. Nope, you are correct.
Idiot.
I honestly, my view kind of changed though. I don't know about you guys, but just based off the start the Hawks had, kind of surprised everybody, getting off to a streak with, I think it was either 5 or 6 games in a row with at least a point, until obviously that Tampa blowout game. But
yikes!
Oh no, I'm sorry, the Arizona game. But I thought that might have changed some things. Did you guys feel the same way?
Yeah, definitely. They, as it was going on, obviously, that we talked about it, they came out the gates hot, way hotter than anyone would have predicted. Right now, I mean, they're a 500 team. They're 6-6, 3 OT losses.
5 in a row lost.
No.
Well,
3.
5.
I'll tell you, the road trip right now that they just got off of was a complete and utter disaster. Really ugly all the way through. I think if I remember correctly in Stan Bowman's presser, he used that as an example as to why Q got fired. I don't think that was completely on Q at that point, but I don't think it necessarily helped him at all.
1 second, it is 5.
Yeah,
St. Louis, Edmonton, Vancouver, and then
Calgary.
Edmonton again, and Calgary.
Yeah, I thought it was 5, but my NHL app says 3.
OT. So they got a point. So I think they reset
okay.
it.
They still lost.
It's still not great.
So the thing is, though, they're on a 5-game skid, and that road trip was tough. I mean, you don't have a healthy Kaner, which is obviously huge.
Yeah.
But I'll let you say your thing in a second.
Well, okay, yeah.
I mean, they're in 6th in their division, and they're 2 points back from 3rd in the division. There's 3 teams right now. Winnipeg, Colorado, and Dallas all have 17 points, and the Hawks have 15. They're not, out of it whatsoever. They're not fucking St. Louis down there. But, I mean, St. Louis has 3 less games played than the Hawks. But still, I mean, they're 100% doing way better than anyone would have expected, and they're on a 5-game skid. Like,
I think that's the problem, though. That they exceeded expectations. You know, like, I don't think that it was like, okay, they come in really hot, but there's really no, like, what's the word I'm thinking of?
I don't
confidence know. that was going to continue.
Oh.
Especially after that skid.
Mm.
Well, I think the other thing, too, is that management probably was thinking, all right, we came out of the gates pretty hot. Let's see what we can do with this. And then this 5-game skid came along, and all of a sudden we're a 500 hockey team. They say it a lot. You can't win a division, in the first couple of months, but you could certainly lose it. You could certainly find yourself out of the playoff hunt. So I think it might be just a preemptive strike type of a thing to get something changed before it's too late.
Yeah, and I mean, like we've said it before, pretty much whoever's in the playoffs at Thanksgiving is in the playoffs, at the end of the year. I mean, especially this year, though, there's going to be a lot of close ones. Like, there's going to be a lot of bubble teams that could squeak in at the end of the year. But typically those teams that are in it around Thanksgiving are in it by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And in case you guys didn't know, Thanksgiving's right around the corner, which means Christmas is like 2 days away.
You had mentioned Patrick Kane.
Don't you dare take what I was going to say.
His quote.
God damn it, Poets.
My heart
Damn it, Poets. That's what I was going to talk about.
Yeah, Poets.
Go ahead.
Jarom literally opened his mouth. I was like, let me finish.
I'll probably start crying, so you do it.
So here is Kane's quote about it. He goes, when I heard the news, I'm kind of thinking I wish I wasn't sick in Vancouver, or I wish I maybe felt better on that road trip. I could have played better, and then maybe something like this doesn't happen. Just thoughts running through your head. Talk about, like, the little kid taking responsibility for parents getting divorced.
Mom and dad are getting divorced. It's got to be my fault. It's not that dad's blowing other dudes. Like, it's got to be my fault. I have a feeling Poets didn't hear that one.
No, I didn't. I'm sorry, it cut out.
I said it's definitely like it. Jarom said he's the little kid when the parents are getting divorced. And I was like, yeah, like it's totally my fault. Dad's blowing dudes, but like it's my fault they're getting divorced.
Okay.
That's just how Patrick Kane is. Like that's how, honestly, like that's how a superstar and a winner acts. Like it's I don't know. Here,
since we're talking about Kane's quote, let's talk. I have two other quotes here. One from Siebes. He means the world to me. 10 years, 3 Stanley Cups. What was I, 23, 24 when I came here? He taught me a lot as a young man and a young player. Crawford came out and said, we've been through so much together. For me personally, he had a ton of confidence in me from the start. It's hard to hear that news. It's just, and Taves, I couldn't find the exact quote that he had, but they all just seemed completely and absolutely rattled.
Yeah, I mean, it's some of these guys, it was not their first coach, but basically was. Like it basically was, because Savard wasn't there for long. And honestly, I felt like they were heartbroken when Savard left. Like Kaner loved having Savard as coach.
Yeah.
And then Q came in and
Kaner was in tears.
Yeah. They just connected for some, I don't know, maybe it's the spinorama ability, whatever.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But yeah, and then Q came in, and obviously it was a perfect fit for him for as long as they had him. I mean, 3 cups speaks for itself, but especially with that core group, it's
what's absolutely fantastic too. Well, not fantastic. The way that those guys who gave quotes like express themselves, taking the blame, not putting the blame on Q at all. It's like they really showed how well that they've been taught to be professionals and to be leaders and all that. And the most, like, I don't know if it's irony or what, Q's the one that taught them to do that.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a little jab at Bowman almost.
Yeah.
A little bit. Because, I mean, all right, thanks, Andrew. Fucking, come on, bud.
All right.
But it's kind of, I mean, I feel like low-key they always go after Bowman, like, with the Panarin trade. Kaner was very upset about that. Jarmelson, like there's a lot of like when they ask him about like some of the players are doing interviews after big things like this happen. They're kind of taking little jabs at Bowman.
Q gave them like press conference 101.
Yeah.
How to say what you mean without actually
without getting
it.
fired.
Yeah.
And then, well, after 10 years at least.
Yeah.
So, yeah, upsetting. Yeah, Q did a lot. But also might have just been his time anyways. Yay,
So,
nay.
you and I were kind of talking in the car a little bit about this, whether or not it was his time. I think his time was coming to an end. I still think it's a bit too soon. I mean, Jermey Colliton, I mean, obviously he's done an incredible job with the Rockford Ice Hogs. You know, I mean, just taking a look at what he's done with that team in the past 2 years, I mean, they were almost unbeatable in the playoffs last year. I mean, they went on some 6 streak, had that team going like a wagon. And then he's continued it this year. So, I mean, obviously he's got the ability to coach at a pretty high level and to get his players to want to play the way that he wants them to play and to get some W's out of it as well, which is obviously the most important thing. But
for reference,
I mean,
he was 40, 28, 4-4 last year. And this year he was 6-3, 1-2.
Yeah, and I mean,
that's impressive.
That's 6-3, 1-2. I mean, Anton Forsberg is currently on that team right now. So I mean, let's call that for what it is. That's a pretty impressive record at this point.
Yeah, but D'Elia.
Yeah, Colin D'Elia is.
Forsberg's
I agree.
Forsberg's 2-1 with a 1.99 goals against average and a .929 save percentage.
0.2. Jesus Christ.
Poets, what the fuck?
Well, you know what? I just muted it.
Why didn't you do that the first time,
Yeah,
bud?
Jesus.
I thought I did.
First time hosting?
Anyway, I mean, taking a look at Jermey Colliton, he's 33 years old. He played with Brent Seabrook in the U18 Canada team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are guys on the team who he has played with. So, I mean, that's got to be a really weird dynamic, not only for the players. Like, I mean, I feel like, this is coming from me, a current college coach who's played with some of the players on his team.
I was just going to say.
Yeah. That's got to be such a weird dynamic for them. It's coming from a professional standpoint. I mean, a guy like Brent Seabrook could very easily say, I played with you before. I am still currently playing in the NHL. Why the hell should I even listen to what you have to say? Obviously, that's not who Brent Seabrook is. So,
I don't think anybody on that team
but,
would do that because obviously we just know what kind of guys these players are. And I feel like most, I'm saying most NHL players, no matter who's coaching them, unless you're the Ottawa Senators, they're going to respect the coach and whatever he says is going to go.
Nice little
just because that's yeah,
foreshadow.
exactly, yeah. But that's just how hockey players are raised. I mean, whoever your superior is, you're gonna respect them no matter who they are.
I fucking hated coaches that I played with,
That's a good point.
You have to.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're gonna get fucking sat, and nobody wants to get sat. Like, it's his team and it's his rules. He does what he wants.
Also, a quick fun fact that fan of the show and guest of the show, Tanner Houston, is gonna like. Guess what draft he was drafted in?
03, baby. Let's go.
Oh, baby.
It always comes back
Greatest
to
draft
03.
of all time.
Everything comes back to the 03 draft. Everything.
Insane.
I saw that. I was like, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
What a draft.
Um,
What gets brought up more, the 03 draft or Jarmelson?
Depends. With Tanner not around, it's Jalmerson. If Tanner's in the room, it's 03, no question.
Yeah. So here's my other question, kind of jumping back to Quenneville, whether it's his time or not. Obviously, this whole thing was kind of brought on by Bowman and everything. Did Quenneville also kind of dig himself in a little bit of a hole by, kind of his lack of being able to coach young players? not coach young players, but kind of burying them in the system for a little longer than they need to be, or scratching some guys that probably shouldn't be scratched at this point. So I'm thinking guys like Sakura, who probably should have started the season with the Hawks, or John Hayden, who's only played in, I think, like 2 or 3 games this year, in favor of guys like Chris Kunitz, who is a complete disaster out on the ice, albeit Stan Bowman signed him, and he's a veteran, and he's got that veteran leadership, or whatever you want to call it.
Kunitz was a gift from Bowman.
Did he kind of dig his own grave here a little bit by kind of having that mentality?
The thing is, it's yes and no, I would say, because he's always done that. Like, look at a guy like Nick Leddy. It just didn't like him until he got traded. And we've talked about Nick Leddy all the time. Like, he could have been a stud on the Hawks, but for some reason Q didn't like him. So there's guys that Q likes and doesn't like, and I don't know. The thing with Quenneville
so with that example, I will say he could have gotten away with it back then because they actually had a really good team to back him up. So I mean, I feel like at this point, with him not having that great of a hockey team anymore, he probably needed to go down to that younger route. I mean,
they took
going back to
Yoki Haru this year.
Going back to the Chris Kunitz signing. I mean, I feel like it probably wouldn't have sat well with Stan Bowman if Chris Kunitz ends up getting sat, in favor of somebody like John Hayden. So that's obviously not like something that could end up happening. But
I mean, Kunitz a no movement clause. There's nothing you can do about Kunitz.
Yeah, I know. I'm just giving examples.
No, yeah, I know, but I'm just saying though too, like it's like I see what you're saying. I'm saying, like, I feel like he did give himself a little bit, but Bowman finished it and then filled the hole on top of him.
So, like I said, it's yes and no for it. Him digging his own grave, and then him doing this for so long. Yeah, he had better players back then, and now he doesn't have as great of a team, as deep of a team. But the thing is, he's still doing it. He's still doing the same things. You don't see many things change for him. Like the way that the Hawks have been playing has been the same since he's been here, and he doesn't change things up except for the lineup. Like, he changed the lines like as much as he can, and it's just, I don't think that his style right now is gonna help the Hawks right now. So yeah, it sucks he got let go, and maybe it was time, maybe it wasn't time, but it was definitely closer to it being his time than anything. I feel like that definitely didn't make sense whatsoever, but I'm not terribly upset about him getting let go.
Kind of the way it happened.
Kind
of more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can almost compare it to almost like Marian Hossa, where it really wasn't on his own terms when he probably deserved that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if anything, like, you could have done it over the summer. And I know if they did, they would have been like, oh, well, why don't you give him one more shot and everything like that. But also, like, if you just let him go in the summer, like, I don't know, you wouldn't have a 500 team that's been playing actually a lot better than you thought, and you still let him go anyway.
I mean, I don't know. What do you think is next for him? Does he go to another coaching job right away? Does he?
Not right away.
So I was looking at some of the possible openings and what he could possibly do. I came down to two things. If he wants to coach again this year right away, get back in it. If an opening comes up in St. Louis, I could see him going back to St. Louis. If he wants to wait a year, I could see him, and I think he'd be the great choice to be the guy that builds Seattle.
Oh, baby.
Yeah,
that's cool as hell. I like that.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
I mean, next year will be the 1 year out before.
Yeah, but then it's going to be full of guys that he would probably scratch.
but you know what though, too though, yeah, but he would have the ability
He's
to
gonna
healthy
end up-
scratch them without having to answer to the GM because they'll know that's his team.
He's going to end up with Jeremy Morin again, and he's going to try and move him again.
If he goes to another team, can he trade for him just so he can trade him
Just
again?
to trade him away, send him back to Chicago. Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about Seattle. That wouldn't be a bad move.
No, it wouldn't.
I mean, he's getting paid $6 million this year and $6 million next year not to coach.
Yeah.
If I was him, I wouldn't be in a rush, unless the right opportunity.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think he does take one right away. I don't know. I don't know. But the thing is, there's so many coaches on a hot seat right now. Like Mike Yeo even came out and said, yeah, my job should be questioned right now. Our team sucks, basically. And Q has all that history with St. Louis, and St. Louis has a good team, and they're not playing up to their standards. So it kind of would be a perfect fit if he went to the Blues, which would fucking, ugh.
I wish I could find this.
Ugh. But I don't know. He's what, 60 now?
Yeah.
Like he had some long miles in the last 10 years.
Well, yeah, here's my thought on it. For a guy who's been coaching with the Hawks since the 08-09 season, been to the playoffs every year except for last year, and I think the last 2 years, for really everybody on the Blackhawks, have probably been the most stressful for them. I mean, there's been 3 Stanley Cups, 5 pretty deep runs in the playoffs. I mean, I feel like the last 2 years have been the most stressful.
And you don't get along with your
Am
GM.
I wrong?
No, this was definitely a wake-up call a little bit for the franchise. It was kind of like we were talking.
So
Go ahead.
I feel like if I'm Quenneville, then after that, I'm probably going to take off for at least a year just to relax and live totally stress-free.
Yeah.
Babcock had a great little quote about this when they asked him about his firing. He said, "Good man. I imagine those slopes in Denver are going to get worn out. Good friend, good coach, 3 cups. He's going to the Hockey Hall of Fame. I don't know what else you can say about him. If he wants to work, he'll work."
That's great.
And there's a bunch of people. Yeah. This is on the Leafs subreddit, and a bunch of people hire him as an assistant.
Oh God. Just
reassemble the entire Team Canada coaching staff.
Yeah. Let's just get all of Team Canada together in Toronto. So I was looking up his stats with the Hawks, and obviously he didn't play. He dressed for all 82 games every single year. What a fucking mule. Iron streak. So 797 regular season games he was a part of, and exactly the Hawks had in those games, they had exactly 1,000 points, which is pretty wild.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously a winning record for him.
Yeah.
And then 128 playoff games with 76 dubs, 52 losses. So,
greatest coach in Blackhawk history?
Oh, no question. No question.
Yeah, try of all time.
Yeah.
What about like Trent Yanni though?
Well, I mean, let's not look, past Elpo Suhonen. You know?
I mean, we talked about Savvy. He pretty much molded this whole team. So, I mean, it really goes back to this team. The first cup was really Savard and
talent.
And talent, yeah. It was
This
Savard
whole-
and talent, yeah.
this
So
whole team-
Quenneville and Ballman, like, you guys didn't even do anything. Like, fucking figure it out, boys. Like, you're just riding the coattails of 2 superstars.
Yeah.
So
It didn't happen
they're
sooner.
the Chris Kunitz, the Sidney Crosby.
Poets, did you look into the press conference at all from today?
I only saw some quotes. I didn't watch it at all. No.
All right. Do you have any other quotes that stood out to you?
I mean, I mainly wanted to see exactly what Bowman's reasoning was for everything.
Because I didn't like him.
No,
Yeah,
he
that
said
virtually it.
he said it in the conference. He goes, he doesn't understand where this report came that they don't like each other, that they're good buddies. Every league source says the other way.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, but also, what's he gonna say? This guy's a fucking.
No,
piece
I
of
know,
shit.
but
like,
it's
he's
like
not.
you just fired the guy. Just own it now. Come on.
Yeah.
So you're not like you're gonna make the workday awkward tomorrow. Like,
well,
No,
I mean, might when fucking Kane comes up to fucking Rocky and he's just like, I don't like this guy anymore. Like, get him the fuck out of here. He's gonna ankle it. He's gonna ankle it so hard.
People are obviously pissed that Q is gone. I'm sure he knows that. So there's no way he would do anything to, stir the pot any more than it needs to be done. So
John McDonough had a couple questionable comments that I want to bring up and see what you guys think. So somebody, after a bunch of softball questions, somebody finally asked the question, was there ever a thought of firing Stan as well? And
fantastic.
McDonough said there's no thought into it at all. He goes, I believe in this roster. I believe in Stan. He said that he would never neuter his GM who had a great body of work. What the fuck does Stan Bowman have on Rocky Wirtz and John McDonough?
Well, it's definitely not his actual body because that's a fucking milk bag.
He is most likely. I feel like that's not a truthful statement. I feel like that's another one of those.
That's Bowman going.
Fuel on the fire
that's the same thing as Bowman going. Yeah, we're best buds. Me and Q, we get along so
we're best
well.
Friends. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna call him right now. Actually, let's
that's
FaceTime
basically
him.
just kind of saving face at this point.
Because I mean, so obviously, you go on Twitter and everybody's rattled. Everybody's like, "Oh, I wish it was Bowman instead." And
it should have been too. He should have been part of this. It shouldn't have just been Q. It should have been both of them.
Yes, exactly. Because, like I said, I don't know about you. Poets, you seem upset about it. But honestly, I'm not that upset Q is gone, honestly. Like, he's done his time. There's not many coaches in the league that last with one team for 10-plus seasons. Like,
no.
And what he's done in those 10 years, like, it'll never, like, that's amazing. Nobody's ever going to forget what he did. And I think it was just his time. But yes, also it's Bowman's time because look at what he's fucking done. He's turned this team into a dumpster fire. Like this record is his fault. All of this is his fault. Like he's the one to blame. And everybody on Twitter is like, "Oh, fire Bowman instead of Q," because it's his fault. And they're actually right. But also I'm fine with Q going too.
Yeah, don't you think, though, if both go at the same time, that kind of denotes almost all right, this is it. We're revamping everything.
That's
it.
Exactly.
But McDonough basically said that's what they're doing without actually saying that. I have the quote here. I won't label it as a rebuild, more of a remodeling. We still have Hall of Fame players. My expectation is that a playoff team. We are a playoff team. We get in anyway. Anything can happen. It's not going to happen with Bowman making some of the moves that he does.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so I just wrote down, I went through, I don't know what website it was, but I literally typed in Blackhawks trades, and it pulled up 26 pages of all the Blackhawks trades that have ever been made, and it was unbelievable. So I went through some over the last couple of years that Bowman's done, or like re-signings or not re-signings. So obviously we've talked about pretty much all of these because we talk about Bowman and the stupid things he does all the time. But some big ones that stand out, Ryan Hartman down to Nashville. He would be a great asset to this team right now. Michael Kempney, Stanley Cup champion. Artemi Panarin for Brandon Saad, which is one of the biggest ones here.
You can't judge a trade yet.
Yeah.
Fuck off, Sam.
And I know I've mentioned it before, like, even if you don't re-sign Panarin because you wouldn't have cap space, if you could have held on to him for another year, you could have got so much more for him than, what was it, Saad, Forsberg, and a third-round pick. You don't get a first-round pick for Panarin, you fucked up. Losing Teuvo Teravainen, I understand the circumstances on you have to move that because of the Bickle contract, but also if you don't fuck up and give Bickle that big of a contract, you don't have to move Teravainen. And look what he's doing right now. Look what he's doing right now in Carolina. This is one that
crushing it.
Yeah, this is one I completely forgot about, and this is honestly maybe one of the worst, not because of who we traded, but what a waste we got back. Philip Deneau.
Oh, yeah.
We got Dale Weiss and Fleischman. Weiss did not get along with Q. He came out and said that. He couldn't crack the lineup, and Fleischman, like, I don't know what, like, is he alive? Is he still alive? Is he a person anymore? Like, what happened? Is he a whale? I don't know.
But it was the Dutch Wayne Gretzky, man.
Yeah. So
Fleischman, I remember they were trying to get him to be almost like a Thomas Kopechki type thing.
yeah.
And that ended up not working at all.
So I mean, like that's Philip Deneau on this lineup would be unbelievable. That's the third line center that they need, honestly. Like he's very.
He could have probably been the second line center.
He could have been.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a Deneau, Schmaltz, Kane?
Yeah.
Like right now, like
somebody who can at least win me a goddamn face-off in the defensive zone.
exactly.
Please.
Exactly.
Holy shit.
Obviously Nick Leddy and Nicholas Jarmelson. I think that was the topping on the cake that Jarmelson, the big fuck you to Q.
That was
because
it was
because
a ticking time bomb. For
Q,
this.
yeah, because
I was
Q
just about to say, I think
he got blindsided by that one, and I feel like he was almost in tears when that happened. Because who doesn't want Jarmelson on their team?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. That was actually the first thing that came into my mind, Jerem, was that it was a ticking time bomb at that point.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was just a matter of time before something happened. One of them ended up having to break or somebody got fired. I think after Joe Emerson had gotten traded, everything just kind of went south a little bit. I mean,
all downhill.
Yeah, I mean, I think that really just kind of turned everything around. So
I just looked up Philip contract.
Yeah, and speaking of contracts, when you sign guys, like I said, Bickle, there was the 4x4 hometown discount. Thanks a lot, Bix. The Seabrook 8-year, $55 million, 6.875 per is absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. I know he did a lot for the Hawks, and I know he was a big part of the core for the Cups, but you cannot pay guys off of what they've done. I mean, you obviously give them a little bit more, but you cannot give him that much money for how old he is and how many miles he has and what he's going to do for your team in those 8 years. It's not going to be worth 6.875, and you know that. And then Anisimov at 4.55 finally has a modified no trade clause, and everybody, of course, has a no move clause. Everyone.
There's no reason why this team should have 9 fucking no trade, no movement clauses.
Yeah, and then not to mention the Chris Kunitz, the Cam Ward, which I'm not that upset about, Cam Ward, and Brandon Manning.
So I'm going to go on Cap Friendly right now, and I'm going to look at some of the highest contracts currently in the game right now. And I can almost guarantee you that there is not going to be a worse contract than the Brent Seabrook contract.
Tom Wilson.
Ooh. I don't know.
He's still young, though.
Yeah,
he's still young, and he's going to
fair.
play when he gets back from his suspension. He's going to play with Ovi, and
that's
he'll
fair.
put up some
Yeah,
points.
fair. All right. Still a stupid contract. I'm going on record saying that.
I honestly, I didn't. Am I?
Sorry? Go ahead.
I was saying I didn't mind that contract. Is that weird?
Yeah, that is weird.
I mean, it's not a great contract, I'll say that. But I don't think it's like sports or anything like that.
Well, you're cutting out there, and it sounds like somebody's got you by the balls. Jesus.
I don't know what's happening. Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't do anything.
It's just the podcast god preventing you from saying something stupid about that contract.
Yeah.
Someone's looking out for you, bud.
So we've got Corey Perry 33 years old, making $8.625 million after a couple pretty not so great years.
Yeah, but when he signed that, he was
Yeah.
still putting up almost 50.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could say that with Seabrook too. When he signed that, he deserved that money at that point.
No. Because he signed what?
You don't think so?
No, I think
No.
he came. Wasn't it one of his worst seasons he just came off of too?
Yeah, like, and
Wait,
you,
when did he sign that contract? I thought he signed that right after the 15-year.
Look it up.
I think it was, but still, like, you could tell he was already declining during that season.
Leon Draisaitl at $8.5 million.
Yeah, that one's tough.
Yeah, he did
Even
sign
though-
up to the cup here. Sorry.
Even though him and McDavid are like the easiest like picks to win in any OT game.
Never mind. He had a
Okay.
good year before he signed that.
But
I
still,
retract
like,
my statement.
you could tell he was declining. Like
Yeah.
he wasn't going to be worth that much money.
But as soon as he signed it, he went down. He lost 10 points right off the bat.
Quick question. Jason Spezza for $7.5 million.
Who signed it? Did Dallas sign him to that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Dallas.
I feel like that's another one where at time that's a good signing, but now that we know what we know now, it's almost like, yikes, what was the thought process on that?
Yeah, when he went there, I was like, oh, fuck, Dallas is going to be a wagon.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, he did not live up to that. Also, Ales Hemsky went with him. And, eesh.
15, 16, he signed that.
Also, Martin Hansel in Dallas has a ridiculous contract. I can't remember what it is, but he has a ridiculous one down there. And he's, like, never healthy.
I'll look that up in 2 seconds, but I think I actually found the worst contract in the league. And it comes in the form of Bobby Ryan with 7.25.
Yeah, that's tough. I was looking at that, yeah.
Yeah.
I still don't think he's bad, though.
He's not 7.25.
But he's not 7.5. That's the worst thing, though, too. Like, some of these players, it's like, it's easy to say, oh, they're not worth it. But it's like, at the same time, if someone's dangling that money in front of you, what are you going to say? No, I know what?
No, I'm not against players.
Yeah, I'm not saying
getting
it's you.
absolutely paid, but it's like, as a fan, it's like, like William Nylander. Like, fuck you, bud. Just sign for $6 million. You'll win 2 cups. Like, just do it. But also, Nylander, get it as much money as you can. So it's just like, no, I understand.
Yeah, no.
But
it's funny. It's funny at the same time. It's like, oh fuck this guy. But it's like, hey, he got paid. Congratulations, bud.
Yeah, it's like, oh, if I'm in that position, I'm not taking that much money. No way.
Really, you want to give me 6? I really only think I'm worth 3.
Yeah, like, come on, let's be serious. That's why
Marty Hansel is making 4.75 for the next 2 years on the IR.
Yeah, that's tough. That's why if Bowman ever gives you a contract, you just sign it. You don't look at it because it's guaranteed to be overpaid.
Yeah.
You don't question shit. You just sign it.
I know I have a no movement clause. I know I'm going to be here for a long time, and I know I'm going to get fucking paid.
Jesus Christ. Anaheim's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players on IR.
Oh.
Jesus
Murphy. But yeah,
All right. So how do we feel about the remainder of the season now at this point? You know, Jermey Colliton's going to come in. I'm very interested to see how the first game goes. I feel like that one could go one of 2 ways. It can either go, boys are super pumped, new coach, kind of almost like you start the season brand new at this point. Or it can go, you know, this is weird without Q. I'm not used to this. How do I hockey?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I think it really depends on what kind of coach is he going to be. Is he going to be the coach that he knows how to be, or is he coming in to be the yes man that Bowman
just
clearly wants?
Hey guys, how are you? We're going to practice today if that's okay with you.
Reading off a note card, like, this is who's going to play. And
so, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely going to be interesting. I mean, if he just goes in there, that's the thing. He's just got to walk in the room and pretend like he's in Rockford still or whatever, you know, just
it's basically going to be. I think there's going to be a lot of Rockford guys coming up.
Yeah. So you just got to do his thing and just fucking go out there and make these guys play. Yeah, it's going to be weird without Q behind the bench for everybody involved. But But yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting to see how they hit the ice. Was it Thursday?
Thursday, yeah.
At home
Carolina.
too. So we'll see.
I think it's going to be a rough transition, especially because what we'd failed to mention, they fired the entire coaching staff.
Yeah.
So that means, hopefully that means new power play, new penalty kill. So I think it's going to be a little bit of rough probably for the next month, yeah. And then, I mean, hopefully, I still, no matter who the coach is, I still strongly believe we are short a top 4 defenseman and either a top 9 or a top 6 winger. I still don't think the coaching change is going to do as much.
With the forwards, if you bring up Sekura,
yeah,
I think he could get in that top 9 and be a surprise. If Schmaltz could fucking figure his shit out.
He might be able to now, too. He might be able to get some consistency now.
Maybe. Yeah, that's another thing that Quenneville always did. He the young guys that actually did crack the lineup, he never kept it consistent. Like I said, they changed the lines up so much that I think it was Hinostroza when he went to Arizona.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Vinny Hinostroza.
Yeah, he's like, they were like, oh, are you excited to go to Arizona? He's like, I'm just glad I know what my role is there. Like, he just couldn't figure out a role here. And if you don't know who you're playing with every single night, that's not going to help you out. So maybe that'll help Schmaltz out.
Yeah, and, kind of going back to it again, with Colliton having such a good rapport with the guys down in Rockford, they're going to end up having to come up here at some point. They're going to have to take over here at some point, whether that's going to be this year, whether that's going to end up being next year, or, a little bit further down the line, what have you. But the fact that he's able to already kind of have his foot in the door with those guys, I think that's going to help that kind of a transition. However, with the guys that he's got now, the guys like Tate and Kane and, even somebody like DeBrincat, who really fit in well with the way that Q ran, his systems and things like that, I think that's going to be a bit of a harder transition. Those are the guys that you need to fit in right away to your systems,
Yeah, absolutely. So are you guys thinking playoffs?
No.
I'm thinking at this point, let's just hope we get to the new year at 500.
Really?
It's too early to tell because
Tank for Hughes, baby.
You don't really know. There's no really previous experience for this guy to kind of base it off of. It's not like we could be like, well, when he was with, Buffalo back in 2008.
I do.
Buffalo.
I got a stat on him. Oh, he coached in the Swedish Hockey League for 4 years, had a winning record, I believe, his entire time there. His last season there, he helped get his team promoted to the higher league. He finished with a record of 35-14 and 13. Or I'm sorry, 35-4 and 13.
I was gonna say 13 and 15. Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, he's doing something right, obviously.
Yeah, it's obvious he's a very good coach. Almost everywhere, if not everywhere he goes, it ends up being a winning record. But you could say the same with Joel Quenneville. The first time he ever had a losing record on a full season was last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I think the one time he did have a losing record prior to that, he got let go mid-season by St. Louis. So, and then the year before that, they missed the playoffs by 1 point, which ended up being the highest point total that anyone's ever missed the playoffs by until Dallas back in 2011 or something like that. So,
let's see.
You can kind of say the same thing with Q, but, Q's got a little bit more, experience to his game, but also he's a little bit older, a little bit more old school, which Jermey Colliton is not. So,
technically, he's
like
only
had
one losing
he's
season.
Like twice his age.
He's Quenneville's 1 year older than me. Like, he's 1 year older than me right now, older than the Hawks' new coach. He's 27 years older than the Hawks' new coach, and I am 26.
There were so many ways for you to say that.
I'm like looking at him right now. I'm like, what is he trying to do?
He's not 1 year older than me. No, that's not true. I'm not that old.
He's me older.
Yeah.
I thought something skipped out on the phone. I thought you were talking about his kid, maybe. I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
No, he's Nolly +1 older.
Or you can just say Jarom.
No, I don't want to. I want to make it about me.
So
Math guy. Huge math guy.
Before we wrap up on Q, because I think we're pretty much wrapped up there.
There's not much else to say.
Yeah, we do got a riding pine that I want to bring up right here. So yeah, riding pine. Oh wait, Poets, go for it.
Riding pine, pal.
You're riding the pine pony, pal.
All right. So this comes from Dad, Brent Holdhands. He asked what our opinion was on Carcillo's statements about the Q firing. Did you guys see the tweet about that?
Can you read it?
Yeah. So the firing of Quenneville is nothing more than John McDonough, Stan Bowman, and Al. Fuck this guy's last name up. Mizek, there. Hockey operations. Desperate attempt to save their job. There's always tension between Joel and the above men mentioned. Barry Smith is best friends with Stan Bowman. So he ran through that one in there. Barry Smith was named one of the assistants for the new regime. He also said Quenneville deserves better, a man's man. He was the most respected coach amongst the players that ever played for. If this desperate move doesn't help Blackhawks hockey operations people, they will begin to relieve their duties next.
I mean,
So very interesting.
yeah.
Because I forgot to bring this up, and I wanted to. I was reading an article. I believe it was Scott Powers with The Athletic, but I was reading an article, and basically it was talking about that guy, the new assistant coach. What's his name?
Barry Smith.
Barry Manilow.
Okay. So Barry Smith was brought in to the Blackhawks organization as a skating coach, I believe. Very close friends with the Bowman family, Scotty Bowman, Sam Bowman, what have you. But brought him in one of the very first times that Q was on the hot seat, which I believe was the year we played Phoenix. If I'm not mistaken, is that the year that we had the 9-game losing streak, and then we went to New York and snapped it?
I know what you're talking about. I can't confirm what year.
I believe it was 11-12, if I'm not mistaken. That was really the first time that Q was ever on the actual hot seat. All right, this might happen. So brought him in as a skating coach, and what ended up happening was this guy, skating coach, he's not on the ice every practice. This guy ended up being on the ice every practice. So Q ended up, the media actually ended up starting asking questions to Q, who is this guy? I know he's a skating coach, but this is weird seeing him out here all the time. And Q basically was just I don't know who this guy is. Basically, he wants to come out here. He wants to be a little bit more hands-on with the skating, what have you. I'm not even going to think twice at it, but it was speculated that Bowman had brought this guy in to be the replacement for Q and kind of started poking him in the side hey, I got this guy right here. He's going to take over for you unless you figure your shit out. So I don't remember that ever happening. I don't remember listening or reading anything like that.
I remember that.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
I don't remember hearing anything like that.
Yeah, I remember because it was a big whole thing because it was Bowman's bringing his guy in, and that was I believe the start of the Bowman-Quenneville tension.
So, I mean, I feel like that was seeing that guy was the guy that ended up being on the bench. Now, obviously, he's not the head boss, but he's still on the bench. I feel like that was the final, Stan Bowman,
I win.
Planting his flag. I won. Yeah. Go fuck yourself, Joel.
Yeah.
It worries me a little bit that he's on the bench because I wonder how much, the young guy, how much is he actually going to say? Is it going to be oh, we'll let you think you're the head coach?
It doesn't really worry me all that much for the sole reason of they have been virtually jerking off Jermey Colliton ever since they signed him and, priming him up to be Quenneville's
I think we said it when we first
take over. Yeah,
the first podcast we did when we were talking about him getting hired. We were like, yeah, he's probably the coach in waiting. And I think word for word, we all said, yeah, but he's too young. That's not going to happen for a long time. Idiots.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like the way that they advertised him, the way that they marketed him, and the way that they really, I think they even came out and said, yeah, like this is the guy that we want coming in after Q is done. You know, I don't see them just screwing him like that. You know, obviously nothing is off limits for Stan, but you know, I don't see that happening without any really, really bad repercussions coming their way.
I think if this goes south with him, Bowman's done for sure.
Yeah,
I think he's got till trade deadline in my book. I mean, if things are still going south with Jermey Colliton, and Stan doesn't do anything at the trade deadline like he never does,
God,
I think that's it. I feel like if that's not enough for the front office to see that Stan is not fit to do this job anymore, if he even was in the first place. I mean, yes, he made a couple of really good moves that helped us win Stanley Cups, but it wasn't a very good long-term, move 99% of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what else could make them see that.
I don't think if he gets fired, I don't think it's going to happen this year, no matter what. I think it would be over summer or around this time next year, depending on how the Hawks open up next year. Because I just don't think that they're going to fire. Like, it goes back to like what you said, Poetzy. If they let go of Bowman and Q, it's like, oh, full rebuild. Like, we're fucked. Like, we need to figure our shit out. But it's like, even if he does get fired at the deadline, it's still, I feel it would have the same feeling.
I don't know if it's the deadline. I think he has until the deadline to prove his worth. And if it doesn't work out, then this offseason he gets fired.
That's what I'm getting
I think
towards.
That would be the move to do.
I could see that as well, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't see it happening during this season while the games are going on. But going back to the actual question, my reaction to what Carcillo said, Carcillo's obviously not afraid to say whatever he wants. We all know that.
Obviously. Jesus.
But it's all stuff like we talked about, Jarom, when you said, Bowman said that, we're good friends. I don't know where else it comes from, but one of the players said, Q doesn't get along with all the guys ahead of him. Like, it's everybody knows that.
Yeah.
And it's just more confirmation of them not getting along and Bowman pretty much doing whatever the fuck he wants to make Q look bad.
I like seeing that, though, too. I like seeing the comments because you have the whole smoke and mirrors, like, oh, no, we're fine. But then it's like you got to get that hands-on person. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I like the confirmation, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's this is definitely obviously uncharted territory for us as fans and the players, and
not really
it'll definitely be a transition. It just all depends on how they're able to handle that transition, and they're hopefully it's one of those things where it's going to be an easier transition, especially for the older guys kind of transitioning to almost a younger game. But who knows? I mean, this will be interesting to see, to say the least.
This is the first time since I was a sophomore in high school that Quenneville won't be behind the bench for the Hawks. Let's just say that.
I got one more quick question about this, and then we can move on. The only reason I'm referring to them as this is because that's what this time period is. The bandwagon fans that are reacting the way that they are regarding Q being gone, I mean, is it fair, legitimate, or do you think it's just because this is the first time that since they've been fans that there's been any sort of issue, coaching changes, anything like that? Like, do you think this is going to be a steer people away from the Hawks, or do you think it's just going to kind of finally be like, okay, well, this is what happens in hockey?
A lot of people have been asking for his head for a couple of years now. Obviously the majority of Hawks fans are upset at this point. taking a look at some of the replies on Twitter and Instagram and things like that, people are looking for Bowman to be 6 feet under right now, which is, I think, is weird to say. I think it's nice to see that Hawks fans are all kind of on the same page and everybody kind of understands exactly who is to blame for where we are at right now. But
absolutely,
and that's why the only reason I refer to them as bandwagons because I don't know what else to call this era of fans.
No, I understand what you're saying,
Okay.
but I mean, I feel like because so many times, Blackhawk fans, when things were going south, it was, all right, that's it. We got to get Q out of here. It's just not working anymore. So, I mean, they've been asking for it and, it finally happened, whether or not they agree with it now or they were all just talking, it's time to either, put up or shut up, I guess, for those fans, but I don't think it will do anything to, to hurt attendance or anything like that.
Not like it's hurting already. I agree with you, Poets, that it's nice to see that everybody knows that this is all Bowman's doing. It's nothing to blame on Q. Well, a little to blame on Q, but it's
Majority,
mostly it's majority Bowman. And it is nice to see that all these fans are smart enough to see that, but at the same time, it's weird to see a coach last 10 years with one team in the NHL. It just doesn't happen. And to be that successful that whole time, it's crazy. I don't know. It's not like any other sport where it just doesn't happen. And I don't think most fans realize that. And I was trying to find to see if I can see, how many coaches were with their team for the longest period of times, and I couldn't really find anything quick enough. But I just clicked on Barry Trotz. He was with the Predators for 15 years.
I know that. Isn't that ridiculous?
That's absolutely insane.
Doesn't that seem like a lifetime?
It's so long, and he's still in the league. I even forgot that he was with the Predators until the other day, and I was like, oh fuck, you remember when he was the Predators coach? It was for 15 years.
Yep.
That's nuts. That's banana lands. That 100% doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So that's my Caner's cabbie 2 cents.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
right.
nice. Oh,
All right, do we want to touch
that
Ottawa?
was awesome.
Thanks.
Do we want to touch Ottawa?
Nobody wants to touch
Yeah,
Ottawa.
Well, yeah. Let's move it on a little bit. I'm sorry, I broke up a little bit. What did you want to touch on?
The Ottawa, but nobody wants to touch Ottawa.
Ottawa. So I have NHL Network on right now, and they are absolutely pumping the New Jersey Devils right now. How much do you think they went in that locker room and went, oh boy, we absolutely have to shit kick the Devils tonight in order to save the little face that we have left?
Yeah, they won 7-3, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry if I ruined that.
Spoiler.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's counting on the Ottawa score, but wow. Just wow. So who's the bigger dickhead here? The Ottawa Senators for talking just such horrid shit. I mean, that poor assistant coach, or is the Uber driver for selling off that video the bigger asshole?
The
The Uber driver, no
by
question.
124%. Absolutely the Uber driver.
I 100% agree. And people on Twitter and Instagram are all saying, yeah, Uber drivers probably shouldn't have done that, blah, blah, blah. Well, also at the same time, maybe the Ottawa Senators players who were in the car probably should be a bit smarter and realize that they're probably always being fucking videotaped.
That.
Even if you are somewhere in Arizona.
Fuck
No.
that.
And probably shouldn't be saying shit like that in public.
Fuck that.
No, because how many times do you go out with the boys, especially if you're on a fucking road trip? All these guys do this. It's just the modern era where fucking everything's videotaped and recorded, and then they put it on social media and it goes viral, and it's fucking bullshit and annoying as fuck because nobody can do or say anything without having to worry about what's going to happen to them. So
I'm not excusing the Uber driver.
No,
I think what he did was
I know
ridiculous.
you're not, but to say that they have to watch what they say no matter where they're at, like, what are they supposed to do? Fucking go dig a hole and just talk to each other in the hole? Well, there's probably fucking microphones down in the grass then. Because, like...
I probably wouldn't talk about it in public. I talk about it in my hotel room.
So your coach can walk into your hotel room?
If I'm in an Uber, I'm probably not going to talk about issues with the penalty bill.
How many Ubers have you been in where there's a camera videotaping you? And how many did you know that about?
That's the other thing. I want to know what kind of recording device that he's got in his car, because usually it's pretty obvious to see the recording devices. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Usually you can see the camera. So they were either torched, completely hammered, and didn't realize that there was a camera in the car, or they just didn't give a shit.
Well, I mean, honestly, how many times you get in an Uber and you look to see if there is a camera? Like, it's so dumb. Like, they were literally just going out, trying to relax a little bit. They had a night off, so they go out together. Like, they're just being the boys. And then everybody does this. Like, no matter where you work, like who you work for, what you do, like if you have a coach or something like that, you're gonna have complaints, especially when especially in Ottawa. Everybody knows what a dumpster fire that whole city, like that whole fan base, that whole team, like the whole thing has just been a fucking absolute shit show for the past since they got knocked out of the playoffs 2 years ago. And I mean,
that is exactly why they shouldn't be doing that kind of shit in public, talking about that kind of thing in public.
No.
They already know that there's a bad rap coming.
No.
They already know that they're under a microscope and that their organization is an absolute joke. So why even pour more fuel on the fire by doing something like that to get you in even more trouble? Why even give the opportunity?
Because you're literally out with the boys, relaxing and just shooting the shit. You're not paying attention to anything else. You're just being the boys. That's all you're doing. If you're just dicking around.
If you're at a restaurant, yes, I can see your argument. You're in a fucking car, going to somewhere, you know?
There's one person other than you in the car compared to, like you said, a restaurant or in the bar actually, where a ton of people can hear it and then send it somewhere.
Yeah.
But you're literally in a car just going back to the hotel. And then what do you do when you go back to the hotel? You go to bed. You're not going to go to your hotel room and fucking gossip like little girls. Like, you're going to just do it when you're waiting to go home while you're being safe taking an Uber and you're not being a jackass.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I just thinking about how what I would have done in the Uber. I mean, just knowing where the Senators are right now as an organization, how that they're under a microscope already. Everybody knows that it's really tough to be an Ottawa Senator right now. Doing something like that, talking shit about your coach and how you don't pay attention, how he's absolutely awful. He doesn't even teach us anything. I haven't paid attention in 3 weeks and I still run it perfectly. And this, that, and the other thing, just ripping this guy a new one. I'm still probably not going to end up doing that, even if it's in an Uber. I'm probably not going to do that unless I know that I am, either in the locker room talking to the players, or I'm in the hotel room, or I'm at my house.
I disagree with I disagree that you wouldn't do that, because if you were in that situation, I feel like it would happen. Not saying like you're a bad person and you would talk shit like that or anything like that. I'm just saying that being on the team with you and just being with all the boys around us and just shooting the shit with the guys, you would be a part of it if you were there. I would too. I would too, 100%. I would
to break it to you, Poach.
Just to dick around. Like, that's just what it is.
In a college atmosphere, college atmosphere,
it transfers over.
Because who gives a shit?
Hey, Poets. Did you?
In a professional atmosphere,
Hey, Poets. Riddle me this one. Were you a part of that Billy Carr Twitter account?
Oh, absolutely. That was one of the funniest things.
Same exact thing.
Yeah, but in a professional atmosphere, I'm probably not going to do that.
That's Billy Carr's profession. Same exact thing.
if I'm the professional, I'm saying.
We get it. You're a coach now. Hate to break it to you, your players are probably doing this to you.
Yeah, but they're
I
not
told my-
professionals. They're not professionals. You're wrong,
I did
Coach.
tell some of my players today, I was like, if you guys ever talk about me like that behind my back, I'm going to shoot you right in the face. I hope you guys understand that.
Well, we got that on record, so if any of them die with a bullet to the face.
Yeah. Well, you know who it was.
All right, let's wrap this baby up. It's getting long.
All right. Let's go with hot and not. What are your two hots? What are your two nots?
All right, my two hots. I'm going to go in the East. I'm going Islanders.
You bastard.
And for not, I'm going Florida. For the West, I'm going Vancouver. And for
That's hot or not?
as hot. And for not, I'm going to take the scapegoat and go Chicago.
All right. Brian?
These boys are flaming hot. The Calgary Flames, baby. Four straight W's. Top of the Pacific. And then not. I'm gonna go Edmonton.
Okay.
They've been kind of on a skid lately. They're not shooting themselves in the foot, but they haven't been playing to their full potential, I'd say. And then hot.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. Hot. You know what? I'm going to go with the Rangers. They're on a 4-game win streak. Won again tonight. They're not going to make a playoff, but they're feeling it right now. And I'm going to go Carolina for not hot.
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, the wheels fell off.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'll find them Thursday.
Yeah, how much longer till the Hurricanes can't be a team because everybody's soft and people's houses get destroyed by hurricanes?
The tropical storm. Carolina
Can't
tropical
even do that.
storm.
Can't even do that. I'm allergic to a tropical storm. Can't name it that.
All right, for my hot in the West, I'm going to go with Arizona Coyotes.
Yeah, holy fuck.
Starting to become a bit of a wagon.
Yeah, boys are buzzing. They heard about Biz
Boys
Nasty.
are buzzing. And for my not, I'm going with Anaheim, starting to take a bit of a back seat. 3-5-2 in their last 10. Playing LA tonight, so that should be a guaranteed dub. But in a bit of a rough spot right now. Out in the East, oh boy. Out in the East, I'm going to go Pittsburgh as my hot. They've dropped 2 in a row. However, Sidney Crosby's starting to put the puck in the net again. Matt Murray's actually looking pretty decent as well, so they're probably going to end up turning the corner here at some point. My not is probably going to be, anybody say New Jersey?
No.
Probably going to be New Jersey.
Yeah.
Last in the Metro right now.
That's a good one.
Although only 5 points separate them from first place, but they just lost to Ottawa 7-3. And I was watching some of the goals that went in, and Keith Kincaid did not look great, although he has been pretty decent all year long.
Speaking of that game,
at
I just saw on Instagram, Spit and Chicklets put on a picture of the billboard or the Jumbotron advertising Uber in Ottawa.
Oh my God! Shut up!
I swear to God, first picture it pulls up on Instagram.
Oh my God!
So yeah, I think that's I think it's about time to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that is it. Episode 50.
The Radulov.
Corey Crawford. Thank you guys for listening. Let us know your thoughts on time too, what your favorite memories are, and also let us know what you think about the whole Ottawa situation. Do you think the players had a little bit of onus on themselves in that situation? And I'm interested to see what our listeners think.
You're not going to win this, Poets.
But for Poets, Nolly, and Jarom, thanks for listening, everybody.
Go Hawks!
Follow the guys on Twitter at WCBP, on Instagram, WCBPodcast, and like them on Facebook, the Windy City Benders Podcast. The Windy City Benders Podcast.